It's that time of year again, folks. Yes, the first Tigers video. I can actually talk about some regular season ball games. Finally. Now I know back in like last year I said that I'm not gonna make as many Tiger videos. I'm not gonna do all those series previews and recaps anymore. That's still gonna ring true, but I am gonna try to come on here once a week and preferably Thursday mornings or Friday mornings and come on here and try to shoot the shit a little bit and talk about what happened this weekend for the Tigers. So this week, special week, opening day. Tigers start out the year with a sweep. Let's dive right on into this historic and awesome way to start the season. If you see me looking down a lot, it's because I got my notes too, by the way. Game 1. David Price on the bump, the first Tiger in 7 years not named Justin Verlander starting on opening day. And David Price made it a memorable start to the season for the Tigers. The boy goes out there 8 2/3 innings. And I mean, at one point in time, speaking of David Price on my TV back there, at one point in time, David had a no-hitter. It was like through 5 innings, 4 2/3, some crap like that, unimportant. But I mean, the Twins were looking awful. I mean, he had like 85 pitches going into the 9th inning. The Twins hitters, I mean, they were expanding the strike zone so much. They were letting David Price off the hook. They had one rally going, I think, in the 4th or 5th inning, which boosted up David Price's pitch count a little bit from a ridiculously low number to like a moderately low number. And, David Price ended up getting out of the inning, making some big pitches. And the Twins hitters just looked clueless against him. I mean, whether his changeup was absolutely, he was doubling up on his changeup, his fastball command. That man, when he throws against right-handed hitters, I just don't know what you do, because he's got that curveball now, which looked filthy, which he ended up giving up his first hit on to Kenny's Vargas, I believe is who it was. His curveball looked filthy. But, I mean, if you're a right-handed hitter, the way this guy, David Price, can hit the outside black with his fastball, then throw his changeup, is just filthy, because the way he disguises them, the arm speed stays the exact same. He throws out the same keyhole with the arm. I mean, it's identical. And how and you have to respect it, because his ability to come inside on righties and bust you inside, which is something effective left-handed pitchers do to get out right-handed hitters. He will bust you on the inner third of the plate up and in, and then come back away with a changeup and hit the outside black, like hitting it like the outside black perfect. It's nuts. And he was doing that all day. Game 1 looked absolutely filthy. The command, the repertoire of pitches, everything looked outstanding. The curve, the change, the fastball. I mean, he was just filthy. JD hits the very first home run of the MLB season. Oppo bomb into the bleachers, into like the deepest part. And it wasn't just like a wall scraper, because the wall busts out as the bleachers come out, because that's what the old bullpens used to be. He completely cleared the out-of-town scoreboard. I mean, that is a deep shot opposite way on a day, people. Opening day wasn't that warm. It was only about 49 degrees. On a day where it's cold, and he hits it like 7 rows up. JD, my friends, is legit. He is legit. I came on here last year after they got JD Martinez, singing his praises. That's all I did last year, was sing JD's praises. And that's all I talked about last year, is how JD Martinez is not a fluke. And if you don't believe it, his 5 home runs in spring, his 2 opposite bombs in the start of the series already, and the way they went, Oppo, wow, the power he showed. He's hitting balls to the opposite field with rise like a lefty. It is nuts. So JD Martinez homers. Cespedes, have a day, my good man. Sporting the Old English D for the first time ever at Comerica Park opening day. What does he do? Only robs a home run. Only has a double. Only has a triple. Looks absolutely outstanding his first game. Kinsler, nice day as well. So that's pretty much it. It was the Kinsler, Cespedes, JD show. Cabrera and V-Mart didn't get to really do much. Iggy Iglesias starts out the season well. He has a couple of nice hits after starting the spring slow. So I mean, it was just a nice win for opening day. They knocked Phil Hughes around and get the 4-0 win. So game 2, Ricky Nolasco, who pitched terrible last year, but he has some success against the Tigers. It was kind of weird. It's kind of like the Bruce Chen factor. A pitcher that gets knocked around by the league destroys the Tigers. Who knows? I don't know what it is with that. But Nolasco's terrible. 3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 6 earned, 4 walks. And the Tigers this series, let me tell you something. I was listening to MLB Network Radio this morning. They have 15 walks to 11 strikeouts to start the year for 3 games. And Alex Avila this game accounted for 3 of them. He was on base 4 times. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Avila had an opposite field home run in game 1 of an opening day. Awesome to see him start the season out, taking the ball the other way with some authority. Back in 2011 when he was at his best year, that's what he used to do. And good to see that. So I don't want to forget that little nugget. But just that's awesome plate discipline. And to see Avila take 3 walks, get on base 4 times. Iggy Iglesias goes 4 for 4 this game. Kinsler drives in 4. Cespedes drives in a run on like a seeing eye single through the infield. But hey, he looked a little bit more like Yoenis Cespedes. I think we're going to see throughout most of the year. He has a good game the day before, and then he chased a couple of pitches from Ricky Nolasco, a couple of changeups that were really bad in the dirt, a couple of curveballs in the dirt. Struck out on a couple of them. That pitches he shouldn't be swinging at. But I mean, it's just Cespedes, man. He's a guy. It's not a high OBP guy. He's not going to hit you for a real high average, but man, he's going to rob you some homers. And let me tell you something. If you don't think his defense has already played effect, already robbing the homer, last year a couple of these singles that these hitters got would have been for sure doubles with the outfield we had last year. That's just the difference. His presence, having the most outfield assists in baseball last year, brings to this lineup because he stopped a couple for sure doubles because guys did not want to test his arm this series too. I could tell you that for a fact. Miggy plates a couple in this game. Like I said, Avila walks 3 times, has a hit. Iggy four hits. Anthony Gose carrying over the hot start from spring. Now, I think Anthony Gose has potential to be this year's JD Martinez, and here's why. Now, for the power-wise, I'm not talking about that because obviously Anthony Gose, of all people, is not going to hit you 23 home runs and 33 between the minors and majors. But the biggest thing with Anthony Gose is he's never really gotten everyday at bats when he was with Toronto. He was up and down 5 times last year alone, always traveling. I mean, you look at his 4 years of his career, and it's really all his at bats in the major leagues only accumulate to 1 professional season. Now, when he came over from the Blue Jays, he worked a lot with Wally Joyner to try to fix something in the swing, and we saw it in spring training. Ghost ended up hitting 299, but he was hitting a lot higher really for most of the spring. He slumped off a little bit towards the end. But what we saw was his ability to get extra base hits, like out of singles and stuff, and just to get on base. I mean, he's getting on base at a much better clip in spring than he ever had in his career. And mind you, it's just spring. I'm bringing up, just some of the adjustments. We saw more doubles, we saw some triples, basically more extra base power, and we saw his ability to steal. And Ghost, what does he do? He comes out and has 3 hits in his Tigers debut and drives in 3 runs. He had a triple because Torrey Hunter misplayed a ball. He had a double. It should have been a single, but he was so fast. He got the second easily. The Twins' defense this series too was absolutely brutal. I mean, especially in Game 3, they had a play where I think Yoenis Cespedes, I think it was Cespedes, hit a ball to center field, and like all 3, Schaefer and Escobar and I forget who the left fielder was. All comes in, all collides with one another, and the Tigers get a single. It's funny too because the Twins, back when they were going good, they used to do the shit to the Tigers. We call them Twins hits. If you go on Twitter and you follow a lot of Tigers fans, you'd always see every time there was a cheap single, it's always hashtag Twins hits because they would do that to us like crazy. Back in their, they always beat us. Back in their heyday. But it was a Twins hit and the Tigers, let's be honest, I can't say too much because they did have some lucky breaks. The Twins defense spotting them, some errors, some lucky bloops and blips in there to set up some stuff. But hey, you got to be lucky to win games. That's for sure. Baseball's a game of luck. And so their defense was just really bad, this series. That game was just a blowout. Ricky Nolasco got his shit rocked. The Tigers scored 11 runs. Second consecutive shutout, too, by the way. So the Tigers go into Game 3, already shutting out the Twins 18 innings. First team since the 1977 Angels to start the season with 2 back-to-back shutouts. And I can't forget about my boy Anibal Sanchez. The dude was cruising, a 7-inning start. Angel Angel Nesbitt came on in that game, got a little bit of work in. Really, the bullpen really didn't have a chance to work too much this series whatsoever because the starters were so good the entire time. But Sanchez was absolutely filthy. The command was great. His changeup looked really, really good. The command of the slider was great. The curve looked good. Fastball, the velocity wasn't where, you're normally used to seeing Sanchez. He was like 89, 91. He cranked up to 93 a couple of times, but he was more than effective. Twins hitters, yet again, expanding the strike zone, making quick outs. The Twins this series had a lot of first pitch flyouts, and which pitchers' best friends. So, but anyways, good game. Game 3, Shane Green makes his Tigers debut, and my goodness, was he filthy. Filthy. 8 innings. The boy only had 80-some pitches. He could have came out for the 9th inning. Problem is you got only Joe Nathan and Hal Nesbitt with only 2 pitchers in 2 games to even pitch. And Joe Nathan probably shouldn't even have pitched. The only reason why David Price didn't get the complete game shutout was because Joe Mauer, of all people, taps the ball back up the middle. David Price couldn't glove it. Kinsler ranges up the middle to grab it. And he was going so far towards the shortstop side of second base that even Joe Mauer's slow ass, just barely beat it out too to get the single. And Joe Nathan ended up coming out. So, Brad also needed to get the bullpen some work. So Tom Grizzolani comes out. That's the reason why Green didn't have a complete game. And the Twins ended up scoring a run in the 7th inning. So the Tigers ended up going the 3rd longest of all time consecutive scoreless inning streak to start a season ever. They almost made the American League record. They were, I think, 1 or 2 innings away from it. There was a ball, but Kenny Vargas hit that Yoenis Cespedes tried to grab really quick to hold the runner to keep the runner at second base, but he misplayed it. Joe Mauer at second base, he misplayed it. Anthony Ghost slipped in center, and it allowed Joe Mauer to score their first run. Unearned run, though, for Shane Green. But Green, 8 innings pitched, 4 hits, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 unearned run. Dude was filthy. His slider looked absolutely great. And that cutter, and I watched a lot of video of him last year when we first got him, and it looks like his cutters actually improved some. It looks like it has a little bit more tilt than we saw last year when he first came up with the Yankees. The Yankees, when I was breaking down that trade, the cutter was good, but it seemed like it sometimes got a little bit flat, and there wasn't too much distinction between that and his four-seamer. This year, there's a little bit more tilt on that cutter, and that slide piece, my goodness, it is a legit strikeout pitch. The Twins, yet again, make it easy for Tigers pitchers. It was just easy pickings. You only got into that one jam where it shouldn't have been a run, but the Tigers outfield played pretty much flawless. Whatever, it is what it is. But the way they were expanding the strike zone, the way Green's slider looked, the way he was getting strikeouts on that cutter. His fastball command was awesome. It was on point, getting a lot of ground balls. And this game, game 3, JD homers again, and this time opposite field again, and it's 20 rows up. I've only saw Miggy Cabrera, the only right-handed hitter, hit a ball as high up as where JD hit that ball yesterday for opposite. He hit it, and it was with rise. A lot of times, when guys hit oppo bombs, there's a game a few years back where Cabrera hits one in Tampa where it's right center field and 14 rows up. But there was one in Texas where he did the same thing too. He hits pull shots, a left-handed pull shot. But, Cabrera's the only other right-handed hitter I ever saw hit a ball that far, that high up. And, it was legit. And the Tigers, cruised an easy run. Avila and Cespedes each driving to run this game, and Anthony Ghost, 3 more hits. The boy was on fire. Another great game. And let me tell you something. Ghost is so fast, he makes it look easy out in center field. There was a couple of balls that were slower outfielders, they would have been on their high horse, freaking asking for a Gatorade running so far midway through because it was so far. Ghost just glides, and he just makes it look so easy going back on balls. Even, and he doesn't play super shallow, but he plays a little in, And the way he can go back on balls, he's just so fast. The way his route taking skills, some of these balls I saw hit cut off on the gaps because of his speed. His route skills are absolutely outstanding. He takes really good routes to the ball. And the way he goes back, just his speed, it's almost like he's gliding to it. He looked absolutely outstanding. I'm really looking forward to seeing Ghost. And I hope that this carries over. Now, my only question is for and the Tigers, obviously they win this game. Green, like I said, didn't go out for the complete game because the bullpen needed work. Tigers win it, sweep the series, only allow 1 run, outscore the Twins 22-1. Absolutely blowout series. So let's go over a little bit of recap here, talk about a little bit more of the news. With Ghost, though, first, My only concern is when he starts to see more left-handed pitching, because say he keeps hitting like he is, 6 hits in 2 games. It's kind of hard to yank that bat out the lineup, especially on top of the leadoff, and the leadoff spot when he's hitting really well, setting the table for the boys below him. It's kind of hard to yank that bat out of the lineup. My only concern is we saw Rajai Davis get off to a start like this last year, really hot. He was playing way past his career norms against right-handed hitting, or right-handed pitching, I should say. But eventually it all leveled out, and you saw his average fall and saw him came back down to earth. I'm wondering the same is going to happen to Ghost. He faced Glenn Perkins yesterday, got struck out. Tough lefty. I was really hoping to see if he can get a knock off him, to show that, hey, maybe he does have some potential to hit left-handed. But, it's Glenn Perkins. That boy's filthy. So that's my only concern with him. The defense is not a concern. He's shown a bit more discipline at the plate so far, Ghost has. And just his ability, everything he brings so far is outfield defense, his ability to steal, ability to turn doubles into triples, singles into doubles. It looks awesome so far. I'm just worried about if he gets exposed to too much left-handed pitching, how is he going to react, and how is, it going to accumulate over a 160-game season. So let's move on. Justin Verlander is not going to be making a start this Sunday. The Tigers ended up retroactive DL, which means they could set his DL date to the day after his last time pitched. So he's actually been on the DL technically since March 28th or 29th, some BS. So he'll be able to come off the DL pretty quick and make his schedule start after this if he feels fine. I'm kind of concerned, though, because the Tigers were optimistic that, he was going to make his scheduled start. He wasn't going to miss any starts. And they were optimistic that, he was just going to miss one. And now he's optimistic that, he's only going to miss this one. And, hopefully there's not more going on because you need Justin Verlander. Right now, the Tigers' top 3 look great. We already know what Price can do. We already know what Sanchez can do. Shane Green, great start, but you can't expect 8 innings, 1 unearned run every single time out of him. And we've yet to see what Simon can do yet in his Tigers debut. Because you need Justin Verlander in that rotation. So I am a bit concerned that this doesn't, this tendonitis doesn't linger over for too long, or they rush him back and he gets hurt and we miss him for even more time. Luckily the Tigers got some guys down in the minors. They got Lobstein's going to start. He did good work for the Tigers last year. They got Buck Farmer. They got Kyle Ryan. They got Kyle Ziomek. So they got some guys on they could use. But, you don't want to keep playing with fire, not having Verlander for too long. I'm just hoping that this tendonitis isn't something more, and they're only calling it tendonitis. Also going on the DL is Joe Nathan. Finally, a DL move that does not hurt a team. Joe Nathan comes out, and he gets the save. Whoop-de-doo is a 1-out save. And he's lucky that Joe West didn't want to be there because that ball Joe West rung up Torrey Hunter on was an absolute joke. Joe West, he was trying to get a steak at a country bar. That's the reason why Joe West rung up Torrey Hunter, because Torrey Hunter didn't break the plane. I will admit that, his fastball got up to 93 and the slider did look a little bit better. But this is a move which I'm completely happy Joe Nathan's on the DL. This is honestly the best thing that could happen because you know what? I hope the Tigers, do give do start to give Soria some safe chances because I want Soria in the next 2 weeks to save 5 games. And I want him to go 5 for 5 and have a 0 ERA because you know why? You give him that opportunity. He comes out, makes it look easy like he did in spring. Joe Nathan, my good man, you come out and you start shitting the bed again, you are in so much trouble. This is the audition. This is the opening. This is the stage coming apart. You got center spotlight, my good man. This is a chance to show that the Tigers have a legit backup option in Joe Nathan and Joakim Soria to come out, and someone of quality, someone who's not 40, someone that can still get it done, save your ball games. So I'm actually super happy Joe Nathan's on the DL because Soria should have been the closer out of camp. Nathan did not have a good spring training. He looked like crap. I don't care if he's already got 1 save. That's an anomaly. It was a 1-out save. It was nothing. David Price could have easily closed that ball game out, but it was early in the season. He has 101 pitches. That's the only reason why. So I don't care if Joe Nathan's on the DL. I'm happy he's on the DL. And I'm sorry that sounds like a dick move to me by my part that I'm wishing bad upon my player. I'm not happy he's hurt. I'm happy it gives Soria a chance to show the organization that, look, this guy struggles, which he's going to do. You got me right here. So awesome news that Joakim Soria is going to be the closer. Brad Ausmus already said, though, once Nathan's healthy, he's my guy. So Soria, I hope he just comes out and so lights out. And this is the best thing that's going to happen right now for the Tigers bullpen because you got your best arm is your actual closer, and that's what it needs to be. So, like I said, Justin Verlander, hopefully nothing more than just that tendonitis. Who knows when he's coming back. Hopefully not rushing back. I'm kind of pretty scared. So, overall recap, great to see Jose Iglesias up to a great start. He's running really well. His defense, his range up the middle still looks good. It doesn't look like the shins are affecting whatsoever. He had a couple of infield singles. His speed looks good. He already had a couple of stolen bases this series. So, it doesn't look like the shins are bugging him at all. Great to see. We already talked about Anthony Ghost, so I don't need to hit back on that. Avila finally, like I said earlier in the video, Avila's finally going the other way with Pop. And I noticed Avila, he's kind of more like off the plate a little bit. Like when he would stand, his front foot would be a little bit more towards the home plate than with his back foot. It looks like he's like a tad more like even, but like his front foot looks maybe like a little bit more back. Like he's kind of a bit open. And his hands, he would kind of hold them out a little bit from his body. They look like they're real close up to his thing, and he's not moving his hands around as much. Because Avila kind of had like that little handsy thing going. He'd always do, up here. And he's always a guy to keep close to the body. But his front foot looks a little bit farther away from the plate. His hands look a little bit different, up by him. There's not much movement. And he's going the other way. I mean, his eyes is out to – Avila's always been a guy that's always got on base. It's been one of the things he could actually do. I mean, he's had OBPs as high as 350 before. But for him to start taking the ball the other way, for him to already have 3 walks in one game, to already have an Appa home run, already have a couple opposite field hits, that's a great sign. Because when Avila was going great in 2011, he peppered the shit out of the left field bullpen. And that's something we need to see out of Avila again. So hopefully this new stance, this new approach, not swinging. I didn't see him really swinging too many bad pitches. It's a great sign because, having him at the bottom of the order, swinging well. I mean, we saw what him and Iggy could do when they get on at the bottom of the order. I mean, him and Iglesias were on 8 times apiece together in game 2, and they scored 11 runs. I mean, that's a huge catalyst. And think about this. Mickey and Vmart, I think they only had 4 hits between them in 3 games, so they really didn't do much. I mean, this is a whole other part of the lineup. Kinsler, Cespedes, JD, Iglesias, and Ghost. And Avila all getting on and getting hits. I mean, this was without your 2 best hitters doing anything, and you still outscore them 22-1. So, I mean, to see this out of Avila and Iglesias and Ghost and Kinsler off to a great start, it's a great sign. So, good to see that out of Avila. Castellanos, he had some chances to do some stuff this series, and he kind of shit the bed a little bit at the plate. The plate discipline to me, man, still looking a little bit too much like last year. I mean, he was kind of chasing the zone, still up there. I mean, I know Nick likes that first pitch. He swings a lot at the first pitch, but man, those swings are just way too big on some of these hacks he's taken. He got himself into a couple hitters counts, missed his pitches. So I don't know if there's still just some rust there, still trying to get his timing down and whatnot, but he didn't look good. He didn't have a good series. Bullpen really hasn't had a shot to didn't get a shot to get exposed. They did their job. They didn't allow a single run. I mean, like I said, they only pitched 2 1/3 innings this series, so they didn't really have a shot. So we get the jury's still way out on them. But your starters keep going 7. There's not going to be much chance. But I am interested to see when the water kind of levels out a little bit. You don't got 3 consecutive 7+ inning starts, how the bullpen looks. And finally, before we preview the next series, are the Tigers this good or the Twins really that bad? And I think it's a combination of both. Now, you know me with the Tigers this year, I said they could be either a 97-win team or they could be a 77-win team because there's so much injury question. Guys are getting a little bit older, But with the way we've saw this offense show, 15 walks, 11 strikeouts, you've shown the depth. Your 2 best hitters only had, 4 hits between them in 3 games. You see the emergence of Anthony Ghost. I mean, what kind of good platoon that could be with him and Rajai Davis in center. You're seeing good starting pitching. We already know what the top can do. So far, good start for the bottom half of the rotation. And we're doing this all minus Justin Verlander now, too. So, I mean, are they really that good or that bad? I mean, the Twins are an offensively challenged club. I mean, which is kind of weird because they were one of the best offenses in the AL in the second half last year. That team could score some runs. But, I mean, they're a young squad. I mean, with guys like Arcia and Schaefer. I mean, there's so many young Escobar. There's just so many young guys on this squad. I mean, Brian Dozier didn't do anything this series, and believe me, I know I am on my fantasy team. That was kind of a kick in the balls because I need him to get runs, but I don't want the Tigers to lose, so that kind of sucked a little bit. But I mean, their best hitters didn't really do anything. Kurt Suzuki almost ended the inning streak quick, but Cespedes about to do a homer. But I mean, they're a young squad with a lot of guys that will stretch the zone like Arcia especially and Vargas, will stretch the zone out. I mean, they were a little too aggressive at times, especially when they did get runners on base and made easy outs or chased some bad pitches to allow the Tigers to strike them out. So, I mean, I think it's a combination of both. I think we're seeing the depth of the Tigers lineup, which everyone knew they had with JD coming off a great year, already starting off to a great year. With the addition of Cespedes, we already know what Kinsler can do. You're seeing what can happen if your bottom half of the order plays well. Ghost is off to a good start. Iggy's off to a good start. We're seeing the depth of the order, and we're seeing what we knew we had at the top of the rotation because everyone knew that was already a thing. We've yet to see the Tigers really have any chance to get their weaknesses exposed, and we'll see, later in the coming weeks. Run games when your starters come out in the 6th inning and he's giving up a couple of runs, and you got to get some bullpen innings out of there with a 1-run lead. We'll see, in a couple more weeks after Iggy plays some more games, shortstop, how he's running. We'll see in a couple more weeks after Go sees some more left-handers, how he's still hitting, So we're seeing all that, but I think the Tigers are good. But the Twins are just kind of that bad. I mean, they're in for a long year. I mean, like I said, young hitters, expand the strike zone, not really patient. They made it really easy on the Tigers pitchers, lots of quick outs. So, I mean, it's a combination of both. The Tigers are good. We know their lineup depth, but the Twins kind of are that bad. I am interested to see when the Tigers do go take on the Indians this upcoming series. A team that pitched really well. I mean, they're in the same boat, too. Are the Indians really that good? Because they almost had a combined no-hitter yesterday. Trevor Bauer was filthy. Carlos Carrasco was filthy. Corey Kluber was filthy all 3 games in Houston, even though they only took 2 or 3 there. So I think this is a bit more of a test. You have more of an even thing. We're going to see some more quality hitters, Michael Brantley, Jason Kipnis, Carlos Santana. We see some actual guys that can put Jan Gomes and all that stuff. Brandon Moss kills Tigers, so I'm interested to see that. So we'll see a better quality starting pitching. We're not going to be seeing guys like Kyle Gibson and Ricky Nolasco and Phil Hughes. We're seeing, the Corey Kluber, in one of these games. So it'll be interesting to see. So I think the Twins, the Indians have some of the same questions as us. Are they that good or the Astros that bad? So I think it's a combination of both. So here's the preview for this upcoming series before I keep rambling on and on and on and on. The Alfredo Simon goes up against McAllister today at 4:10. David Price goes up against House. I believe his name is TJ House, if I'm not. Yep, TJ House. And to end the series, Kyle Lobstein goes up against Corey Kluber. And that Corey Kluber-Kyle Lobstein game, I'm really interested to see because Corey Kluber, his percentage of chase is average on his curveball. I think the league hit like sub 100 against him, and it's like the lowest average in the league against his curveball. I mean, his curveball is legit. It's one of the best in the game. I mean, it's up there with Clayton Kershaw. His secondary stuff is outstanding. I watched him start against the Astros, and him and Dallas Keuchel had a really good game that first game. I watched a good chunk of that game, and him and Keuchel were matching each other pitch for pitch. So I'm really interested to see how Lobstein matches up against Kluber. Kind of sucks that's what your draw is your first start of in the big leagues for this year, at least because Lobstein pitched some last year. And your first start got to go against a reigning Cy Young winner. So I'm interested to see. So yeah, great series started up. Verlander still is going to be hopefully back as next. He's only going to miss one more start. Toodaloo Nathan can't. Hopefully, Soria gets some shots to show he should be the closer. Lineup depth looked great. JD's looking good. We still yet to see the lineup with Cabrera and V-Mart doing anything. They're still in a bit of a spring training mode, still knocking some rust off the bat. Ghost looked good. Iggy looked good. Avila taking the ball the other way. Great eye at the plate. So that's about it, guys. So I'll be on here probably again next week talking about some more Tigers and whatnot. Probably not going to discuss every single game, just like more of a rough recap. There was only 3 games to talk about, so more of a rough recap of what happened throughout the week next week. So until then, have a good one, guys, and go Tigers.